Reasons to live and reasons to love. I'm not satisfied 'cause I think too much. Glee with budding trees, you climb with aching knees, but you won't smell the flowers 'cause pollen makes you sneeze. I'm an imposter, I worry you'll figure out. Why say you love me if you are having doubt? Fear, hate, and war machines, input from computer screens. Without you it's cold and lonely, pressed with drugs so I feel cozy. Free of one but full of me. You'll have me, don't look so bleak. Eat my lips below the knees, and I wanna be your only squeeze. Reasons to live and reasons to love. I'm not satisfied 'cause I don't get out enough. Sit in our seats under stars and falling leaves. You pick a spot as long as it's on the beat. I'm not your father, although I fork it out. Why say you hate me if you're not moving out? Fear, hate, and war machines, input from computer screens. Without you it's cold and lonely, suppressed with drugs so I feel cozy. Wake up in familiar rooms, 1,000 lives lived and consumed. Simulation, humiliation, this is now my true fixation.
Hello, my friends. Operator Starsky here. It's a pleasure. It's a big pleasure to see you guys. Oh my God. Today we will talk about how to stay sane in this world overloaded with information and disinformation. How to stay sane, mentally healthy, and receive reliable information that you can trust. Which is a hard task considering all the factors mentioned above, but possible. I was conducting this research for several weeks, actually, and I really had a lot of insights, especially yesterday after the survey. And we will still have to make many different surveys because it's important to understand the whole picture. But today we will talk about a very interesting topic. Why Russia wants you to hate. And for some people it's an obvious question which has an obvious answer. For others, it might be surprising why Russia wants you to hate. Hate whom? Hate how? And we will discuss this. So, the reason why you support Ukraine is, and I'm talking about several hundred people watching this stream. Yeah, right now there's 100 people and will be more. The reason why you support Ukraine, my friends, is because you have a set of specific features, specific qualities. And these qualities make you stand out from the Russian target audience. When you ask yourself why Russian disinformation is not working effectively on you. That is because you have them. You have those qualities. And we will talk about it in just a second, based on the survey that you guys generously helped me to conduct. So I decided to make it this way because there's absolutely nothing more boring than surfing through graphics and statistics, etc., etc. I decided to make it look like this. Please meet your best friends, okay? And guys, one thing that I should mention is that gender, race, big time, I would say even geography, is not relevant at all. That's literally what AI generated on my request. Literally that. And here we have your best friends. Meet Bob, Anna, Hans, and Federica. Okay? These are the guys that you meet in the bar the other day. You literally have this meeting either of NAFO fellas or literally your local community of Ukrainian supporters. You go to the bar and you meet those four absolutely amazing people. And you get acquainted. You want to learn them closer, right? What do they tell you? Let's check it out. So, Federica, Anna, and Bob consider their countries safe. What does it tell about those people? They are very laid back and relaxed when they're home. They can go to a store in the middle of the night. They can buy stuff. They don't care because they consider their countries, their environment, their neighborhood safe. This tells us that these people have high level of confidence. They have higher resistance to the destructive Russian narratives. Because, as you remember, and we talked about it in some of my previous streams, when Russians were conducting their informational operations against West, they had specific KPIs that were saying raise fear of future among the society above 50%, and things like that, nuclear hysteria, etc. So they are less susceptible to the Russian destructive narratives that are aimed at increasing this level of anxiety, level of fear of future. And it's also linked to a sense of security, stability, and more confidence. Let's call it this way. Another interesting and very important thing is that feeling safe is also associated with higher overall well-being and mental health. And another interesting fact about those guys, as you remember, they are your best friends. They're right now there in the chat. And another interesting thing about them is, and by the way, if you recognize yourself or your friends, guys, please let me know, okay? Another interesting fact is that Bob and Hans, they like scary movies. They like, true crime, investigation. They are attracted to that kind of stuff. Final Destination, Saw, that sort of shit. Anna and Fede, again, it's not related to the gender at all whatsoever. It's just so we could imagine those people better. Federica and Anna, they prefer something better. They prefer TV shows that would make them happier. They like to watch something to relax. And this is something really, really interesting because, as you know, and it's not a secret to anybody, it's like a common stereotype that negative information that is based on gore, murder, war, terrorism, hype, scandal, this information usually attracts more attention and is usually consumed faster by people, by the society. And in this case, it's not so. I would say that approximately 3/4 of people would prefer, something negative content, negative narratives. 1/4 would prefer something to relax, something inspiring, something motivational. In this case, it's 50-50. And it's really, really important and interesting. Another interesting information is that when we talk about Anna and Bob and Hans, these guys believe in better tomorrow. High hopes that justice will prevail and their security will be preserved. Federica actually, she's not a bad person, but sometimes she feels depressed about it. But the fact that majority of those people have better hopes, better expectation of the future is the indication that these people have higher resistance to demotivating content. And this is another reason why they're less susceptible to the Russian disinformation. And if you're asking yourself right now, what's the connection between negative content and Russian disinformation, we will talk about it. Okay, so at the same time, even considering the fact that majority of these people think that their countries are safe, their neighborhood is safe, right? These two people, Bob and Anna, they trust their government, while Hans and Federica don't completely, which is interesting. At the same time, they consider their country safe. It's not based on political opinion. It's literally, I think it's something cultural. And apparently, it indicates failed expectations from the authorities. You know what they say, politicians don't do enough, or they're not qualified enough to reach those expectations. And what's even more interesting is that only Bob trusts CNN, okay, and mainstream media. Anna, Hans, and Federica consider mainstream media absolutely unreliable and not trustworthy. What does it tell us? It tells us that these guys are less susceptible to both mass information and mass disinformation. These guys will actually find sources of information that they find reliable and will only listen or watch or consume content from those sources. Another interesting observation is that Hans, Anna, and Bob don't consider themselves religious people. Federica, being a faithful Catholic, she likes to go to church, but these guys, they don't. If you are a religious person, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Trust me. There are studies that show that people who consider themselves religious, they have more conservative values. They will do whatever it takes to preserve family. There's less chance of those people committing, self-harm and stuff like that. At the same people, there's another scientific study that says that religious people are more susceptible to conspiracies. Again, it doesn't mean that if you believe in God, you will believe in all the conspiracies out there, because in the end, it's about your media literacy. It's about how literate you in terms of media and fact-checking. Just that. That's all. But it's an interesting observation. And another very much inspiring thing is that all of those guys, all of them, they're convinced that solving a problem together is better than finding solution alone. What does it tell us? Two very important things, my friends. According to Karpman's triangle, which is a scheme that shows, I didn't prepare it, it's a scheme that looks like triangle between an aggressor, a victim, and a savior. So according to this triangle, these people have lower level of victimism. They don't like to suffer on their own. They don't like to keep boiling inside, trying to overcome problems, and they're convinced that solving problems together brings more result, which is fantastic, which is absolutely beautiful. Because, for example, if we take Russians, they rarely do that in groups. They rarely solve problems collectively. They try to do that on their own, and they suffer. A lot of Ukrainians actually did too. I can tell you that. But it's really interesting, and according to studies, people with such features have reduced feeling of helplessness, which is again something really, really important for the reasons that we'll talk later. They have increased motivation, and they have feeling of increased control over life circumstances. And this is a morale boosting factor. What else can we say about our beautiful community? So one interesting thing is when asked, and like you're drinking a beer with those guys, right? And you're asking, what can I do myself? Bob and Anna, they will say, you can. You really can. Hans and Fede, they will agree with you. There's nothing you can do yourself. But Bob and Anna will say, no, you can. Doesn't matter who you are. You can change the world. We can prove it because we believe in it. And this is really interesting because when you're having a speech in front of the audience, I'm sure you will all agree that when in the end of your speech you ask somebody, do you have questions? You will expect just so many hands, like just maybe 1/4. And that is, again, according to the scientific studies, approximately 25% of any given community can demonstrate some sort of initiative. Others will prefer to observe. And in this case, it's double that. It's literally half of this audience is demonstrating initiative. They are ready to be first. They're ready to make first step. This is incredibly, incredibly important. And another thing is that these guys, Bob, Anna, and Hans, on an average day, they feel mostly happy than sad. Fede, she has a lot of different information that, or also like problems, like her personal problems that bother her every day, and she feels depressed sometimes because of that. But these two guys, they like to smile, and even when there are problems, they're facing some challenges, they like to fight because they don't like to suffer, which is, again, very interesting thing. This indicates that they have high resistance to the negative narratives and psychological ability to withstand the challenges. Research shows that people who experience frequent positive emotions, such as happiness, joy, they tend to have higher psychological resilience. They have better coping mechanisms, and they have greater sense of life satisfaction. Again, do you remember like first three pro-Russian or like MAGA opinion makers that come to your mind? Tell me, what is their content? Like, what sort of narratives prevail in their content? It's hate, it's fear, it's xenophobia, it's toxicity. And, even though they can provide you with some insights, but you don't really like to watch them because they're toxic. They're toxic so much. It's so distracting. And their life and generally maybe somewhere offline, outside of the studio, behind the cameras, maybe they're not really suffering so much. Maybe they are not really sad. Maybe they could be absolutely happy people, but at the same time their audience consumes this content because there is no other way for them. They're stuck in the circle of victimism, and we'll talk about it as well. And the fact that majority of Ukrainian supporters have prevailing and more frequent positive emotions also indicates of good mental health, and it suggests that these guys have relatively high morale. So when you ask those people what is the most valuable thing in their lives, they will tell you this, and approximately in this order. They will tell you that it's family, it's friends, pets, children, animals, nature. It's food, of course, and it's music, it's cinema, something that makes them happier, relaxed, things like that, which is basically like a Maslow pyramid right there. So I find it absolutely interesting. Now, when you know how exactly this audience, this absolutely beautiful community of Ukrainian supporter looks like, and what they think, and what are their preferences, you probably can understand why Russians don't consider them their target audience, why their disinformation doesn't really work well with those people. It's because Russians have different goals that they cannot reach by influencing these people. What are the goals of the Russian disinformation? What are the goals of Russian informational campaign, informational strategy? What are their KPI? Again, because we already have this massive data collected over the years on Russian disinformation campaigns that were reverse engineered already 100 times. We understand that Russians are working on sowing discord, spreading hate, spreading fear, spreading violence, calling to violence. They will never motivate you. They will always demotivate you. This is very important to remember, because one of the biggest insights that I had the other day was something really obvious that is right there at the surface, but we never talk about it because probably we think that is just too obvious. Russia doesn't produce positive narratives. Russia doesn't produce positive content. Why is that? It's because Russians are convinced, like a lot of people are convinced, that hateful messages, that negative narratives attract more attention and they're consumed faster by the audience, much faster. And that is why 99% of their informational strategies and all of those disinformation campaign, that is why they will only be used to demotivate their target audience, which means that they will always produce dark content. They will always produce negative narratives, negative updates, negative fakes, basically. Ukrainians raped, Ukrainians burnt, Ukrainians stole, Ukrainians murdered, That is like 99% of the content you will always hear from Russian sources or people who retransmit Russian narratives. You will never hear anything good from them because why? What's the point? It's not their point. And the reason they produce dark content, the reason they produce negative narratives is because they understand that highly motivated people are more resistant to disinformation. Highly motivated people are more resilient. That is something they know. That is why all of their disinformation campaign is made to destroy your motivation and your resilience. That is why they will always produce horrible content and scare the living crap out of their audience and convince them that life is bad. And by consuming this content, their audience will lock itself in the circle of victimism that they will never escape from. It's a really dangerous thing because people that are locked in the circle, people who consider themselves victims, they have literally three options. Option number one, accept that they're victims and cry every day and basically consume more and more information that will confirm that everything's bad, they're victims, there's no hope. Option number two is to retransmit or pass this toxicity further, make somebody other a victim. It's because whole Russian society is, again, it's locked in this Karpman's triangle, and when their government commits violence against Russian people, because this is their way of not being a victim, they commit violence against everybody else, against their neighbors, against Ukraine, against other countries. They retransmit this hatred and disrespect towards all world, towards every single country. This is how they make their how they attempt not to be a victim, which is important. And there is a way to escape from this triangle, from this circle of victimism, is through motivating yourself and through finding enough strength to overcome challenges and become stronger and fight. That is why this type of content that motivates people, that makes them stronger, that makes them more resilient, that makes them more positive, you will never find in the Russian media. You will never find it in the content produced by more than 2,600 pro-Russian influencers around the world. By the way, approximately 1/5 of them is located in the United States. But I would say the number is approximately something like that. Approximately 3,000 people are rooting for Russia right now. around the world, and they only produce hate. Check out whatever channel on YouTube. Check out channels of like your favorite mega spokesman. You will not find anything positive there, because it's not the point. You're not supposed to be motivated by this content. You're supposed to be demotivated. You're supposed to be scared. Same with Russians. You may say, like, wait a minute, Russians produced this absolutely amazing movie called Russians at War, trying to humanize Russian invaders, trying to humanize Russian criminals who commit atrocities and kill a lot of people. But first of all, this movie took Russians a lot of efforts to make. And this content does not motivate you. There's no call to action in this movie. There's literally a bunch of naive Russian soldiers talking about life, nothing else. And this content cannot motivate anybody. What does it motivate you to do? No. This content serves as an excuse for people who don't support Ukraine. They say, but there's good people on both sides. And it's not something that I consider motivational. What I consider motivational is the content that calls you to action, that calls you to become better, that calls you to stop being toxic or become less toxic or help other people, pay forward, things like that, things that will make you learn, things that will make you smarter. And this is, again, something that Russians hate so much. When we talk about, for example, all the toxic YouTubers that you can find out there right now, when they face some kind of motivational content, when they face some kind of positive content, right, it makes them so mad. They cannot stand it, because some part of society, some part of community that are already locked in this cage of victimism, when they see such content, it will motivate them to become stronger. But when people are not strong enough, they will just react with maximum toxicity, and they will produce more and more hate towards the others, because they understand that they have choice either to remain a victim or just make sure that somebody else suffers. And it's effective, very much. And this is the reason why Russians don't want you to be happier, why they don't want you to celebrate, why they don't want you to enjoy life. So you can imagine, for example, this communications strategic communications agency called Агентство социального проектирования, social design agency, ran by a bunch of fucks. They're clever fucks, seriously, and they're very, very much experienced. One thing that makes them really, really good is because they know how to make content for you, for people on the West. They know how to shape their opinion. And it's really good, I can say, because generally if you work with your local audience, with your native audience, it requires extreme skills to work, for example, in a different country. If I'm a good PR specialist in Ukraine, I would rarely go to France and become a good specialist in France. Why? Because I don't know anything about France. It will take me years to learn. But again, because Russians considered, for example, United States, and not only United States, generally Western countries, their main adversaries for decades, if not centuries. They know a lot about you. They researched you. They studied you. They made a lot of different focus groups. And when they sit there in their office in Moscow, having tea with vodka and she, they think approximately like this. They go, okay, so what kind of goals do we need in order to make Western audience more vulnerable and more destabilized? And that Fox says, let's make them suffer. Let's make those Westerners, because they're fucking stupid, let's make them suffer. Let's make their life miserable. Let's create strategies that will make them fight each other, that will make them hate each other, and that will also make them hate other countries that are their brothers and their allies. Let's make Americans hate British. Let's make British hate French. Let's make Polish hate like everyone, And they celebrate it because they execute such informational operations. They aim at reaching these goals. And what for them, for those folks in the comfortable office in Moscow, what to them is KPI, to you on the West is a disaster. It's violence, it's destabilization, it's suffering, and it brings a lot of problems in your country, literally because a bunch of folks in Moscow decided to create a strategy because they were paid and stuff. Because of that, people in reality, in real life, in offline, on the streets, they're suffering because of that, literally. It causes violence, it causes victims. And if it's not war, then I don't know how to call it, my friends. Because this is war. This is war waged in the informational space, and unfortunately, Russians are good at it. Unfortunately, they were 2 steps in front of us. So that is something that you should know. Something that you should know. Those people, of course, they don't consider you personally as individuals, as living beings. They don't care about it whatsoever. And that is the reason why they also want people in your countries hate other social groups. They want one race to hate a different race. They want people with kids despise and hate people without kids. They want people from United States hate people in Mexico, and things like that. This works, unfortunately, because we never paid attention to what was happening in the informational space. We didn't know the scale of the disinformation and hybrid warfare waged by the Russians. But now we approximately understand the scale, considering the funds spent on this and considering the data that was snatched from such companies as social design agencies. So we can approximately understand what kind of people they are. And of course, calling them people is probably a big compliment, because they don't consider you human beings whatsoever. You don't matter to them. Your life, your well-being doesn't matter. What matters to them is that they want to reach the goals of pumping your society with hatred, with toxicity. And basically that's it. So what conclusion we can make now globally, okay? And we are talking about absolutely global things. Considering the goals that Russians pursue in their informational and disinformational campaigns. They want you to be toxic, they want you to fear, they want you to hate. And one of the ways to resist it is to be less toxic, less hateful, and more tolerant. Be more positive, be more friendly, more open. And I'm talking about this to you, my friends, considering the fact that you are already representatives of this community, you already have those features. It's literally because I want you to know why is it so, why Russian disinformation and Russian propaganda works on some people and why it works less effectively on other people, including you. What is the picture in other community? Because you are a community of supporters of Ukraine. There is this big community, and by the way, I processed 3,800 replies, 3,800 surveys that were sent through that poll. Again, thank you very much. It's a really insightful information, really insightful data. But how does the situation look like, for example, in other communities, in communities that either don't support Ukraine or hesitate to support Ukraine? It's a different question, and it will be a matter of further research. Generally, the reason I'm sharing this information with you is because I want you to understand how it works. And I'm trying to explain things like complex things in very, very simple language because I spent 5 years learning and studying, and I understand that this information is extremely valuable if you want to understand how to fight Russian disinformation and why is it even waged. Why do they even came up with the idea of waging the informational warfare against democratic world? So I will do my best to share this information with you, and I really hope that you guys will help me as well. I'm currently cooperating with different people that are professionals in the sphere of communications, academics, and practicing PR specialists and communication specialists. And they bring me a lot of interesting insights regarding this study. So I hope that this cooperation will unite a lot of people with experience, a lot of YouTubers, by the way. Today I also talked with several people that you are subscribed to. And together we will find this cure against the Russian disinformation. We will become more immune to it. And generally, you already understand that when you are less toxic, when you are less negative, when you are more motivated, right? You're less susceptible to this because Russia can only produce negative content that is aimed at demotivating you. That's the trick. And it's probably obvious, but it hopefully will make you think how to reach this, how to change it, how to make sure that you are more respectful towards the others, how to make sure that you motivate other people to be less toxic, how to make sure that you're less toxic yourself, and there are many ways. I cannot say that I'm a best advisor in this, but generally what makes me personally more positive is when you do small things to help other people, literally smallest things, and you do them for free without requiring or requesting anything in return. Try this because, my friends, whenever you do some tiniest favors to other people, literally for free, it makes you happier because it brings you something so valuable, so you cannot buy using no money in the world. It brings you emotions. And those emotions that you receive by helping other people, you will never receive in any other way. So try this. Pay forward. Do something for other people, and I guarantee that if you consider yourself a toxic person, you will stop being such a person and you will evolve. So that is my opinion. That is something that I really, really like to share with you, my friends. Please let me know what you think about it. And it's just a beginning of huge, oh my God, huge research, because there are some obvious things, and we came to this stage when fact checking is not enough. It's good, but it's not enough. When debunking Russian fakes is, again, good, but not enough. And we need something more. We need a better strategy. And hopefully, together we can make it, because there's so many amazing professionals, amazing people that are very, very good in communications, in creating strategies that are very, very how to my English sucks at times so bad. My English is basically like my Wi-Fi. Sometimes it falls down. People who want to support us, people who stand for democracy, for freedom, for things like rule-based society, and of course they stand for Ukraine for the very, very same reason. So this is the end of my presentation. I really, really hope that you will find it useful. And guys, let's chat a bit, okay? I can literally hear someone walking above me. On the other hand, of course, because it's almost 10 p.m. in Germany. And on the other hand, I hope that these people learn a lot about disinformation and measures to fight it. The other day, I was literally sitting here and streaming, and first they were like playing guitar, then like a kid was crying, and then I believe they did, what grown-up people do when there's no other people. And I was so much anxious, because I thought like, damn it, like this can ruin the stream. Maybe not. Maybe we will find some kind of legendary access to the sex tunnels finally. And dear friends, please ask questions. I know that you are very, very initiative people. Please ask questions, because the more we question this, the more truth we can find. Will you provide us? Why is this? Yeah. Will you provide us the result of? Well, that was the result, basically. I have literally all the data with me, and it looks like a bunch of graphics that I literally deciphered for you. Where is Yemelyan? Dave, Yemelyan is in Kyiv, in my garage, guarding it. He's basically guarding a bunch of tires, and I believe 1 20-liter tank of fuel. He's like there on the wall. Poland, yes, Poland. The reason for that is Poland is potentially next Russian target, and also Poland is known for being extremely united and resilient in terms of the disinformation, even though it doesn't look so sometimes. But believe me, this is how it is. Polish society is very, very much resilient, and this makes them a target for the Russian disinformation. Russians don't really want to target people who already like agree with them. They tend to reach the KPIs like in the general public. And again, this is something that we should consider. General public. How to raise fear of nuclear weaponry when Sarmat explodes in the ground. Absolutely. But again, my friends, ask yourself, why did Russians wanted to increase the level of nuclear hysteria on the West? How do you think? Everything according to Sun Tzu, or Sun Tzu, everything is when you're strong, show that you are weak. When you're weak, show that you're strong. If your enemies don't really fear the nuclear weapons that you have, you gotta make sure that they will be afraid of you, that you have to introduce some kind of strategy, some kind of disinformation that will convince them that you are ready to use nuclear weapons tomorrow or even today and kill everybody, and that you are like a psycho, that don't make me mad, I will push the button. That's what they do. They have a reason to increase the level of nuclear hysteria. They have this reason, my friend. Brandon here, Andrew, new hair gel. It's not hair, it's actually like my eyebrows. I just brush them upwards and it seems like it's my hair. I get it that Russians believe that their hate propaganda works, and it does, but also what else could they do? They don't have anything positive to offer. Exactly, and it's not really even about positive content. Guys, when we talk about resisting Russian disinformation through being less toxic, it doesn't mean that when we make everybody happy, nobody will believe Russian fakes. No, it's not like that. It's a bit more complex. But there is a reason Russians want to decrease the level of happiness in your society. And they work really, really hard to do that. There is a reason. That's why we need to do opposite. Balaclava Bob, the best morale to live by, don't be a dick. And Dick Dawson, I believe, will not agree with you, but it's simple, it's easy, and yet so many people don't follow it. 100%. Where is your brand t-shirts? My brand t-shirts are in your store, my friend. How does one initiate conversation with, say, MAGA without toxicity and division? That is a good question. Generally, you can always find a way to communicate with people, with all kinds of people. It's not that hard, but the reason they are toxic, right? The reason is because they have this very, very deep psychological problem of being convinced that they're victims. Russians have a different problem. They were convinced that they cannot be good. That's all. That's why they got very, very accustomed with retransmitting hatred further, on Ukraine, on all other countries. This is how they were raised. But Western society, the rule-based society, is absolutely different. We are like aliens to them, psychologically. But if we're talking about those guys, it's absolutely easy. You can literally find same language with anybody based on anything, same interests or things that motivate those people, But in this case, it's a bit different because those people naturally demotivated. Nothing motivates them except of fear and hate and toxicity, which lead to more hate and fear and toxicity. That is a circle they cannot break, but they need to. Why does Russia seem to keep forgetting that France is a nuclear power? I don't think that they kind of forget about it, but the reason there are so many clashes on the streets in France over the past 10 years probably, that is literally because of such factors as Russian disinformation and Russian propaganda. How does it work? It's very easy. It's when a group of people in Paris, for example, are paid to draw Stars of David on a school, on a wall, basically conduct an act of vandalism, right? And when they do that and people look at that and they go, why the hell do Jews draw that stuff on school, on a wall of a school? Are they nuts? And they start hating them. And that is just a real life example of how it works for real. By the way, those people that were doing that, they were arrested, and of course they were, as it turned out, they were paid by Russians to do that. Literally one of examples, and Russians create a lot of that stuff. Disinformation is for those who never used the internet. Russians are wild. Those who driven with disinformation. Yeah, unfortunately, disinformation is really, really effective because of the internet, due to the internet. If an informational operation would take Russians like 10 years in the 60s, 5 years in the 80s, and like a year or half a year in the 90s, today it's done literally in real time. But it's not because internet is good. Internet was created to make people smarter, to make access to information easier for everybody. It's literally because there are terrorists out there who use this gift of internet in a different way, which is absolutely improper thing. People tend to forget that this is a food channel. lasagna or pizza? I would go with pizza, actually. Lasagna is good, but I don't really like lasagna because generally, in majority of cases, lasagna is meat-free. I cannot live without meat. I like meat. I'm a carnivore, and I would go with pizza. Sausages work, fish works, tuna, salmon. I respect that. One really important update from Zurich that I wanted to share with you, my friends, is that there was supposed to be a screening of Russian propagandist piece called Russians at War. And people were literally preparing protest against it for obvious reasons, because it's a literal and legit Russian propaganda, nothing more. This movie has absolutely no value other than humanizing Russian terrorists. And there was supposed to be big protests. People were collecting signatures and things like that. And one of the biggest achievements that we can talk about is that the screening of this movie will be cancelled. And there was an announcement published today, and it was sent to me literally just a couple hours ago. The Zurich Film Festival has decided not to screen the Canadian-French Canadian French? Why Canadian French? If it was made by literally an employee of RT. Documentary film Russians at War publicly due to safety reasons. So generally they don't say that it was done because it's a freaking Russian propaganda created by a country which has a president wanted by the International Crime Court. They say that is done due to the security reasons, which I don't mind about. Literally, I don't mind. If it's cancelled due to, I don't know, suddenly discovered epidemic of cholera, I will be still fascinated and happy. Why Russia support the capitalists when they are socialist? They are thugs, Adrian. They don't support socialists because capitalists are richer and they can snatch more money from capitalists. If Russia can't do Sarmats anymore, how will they continue their space program? If I knew something about space programs, I would answer this one. I'm sorry. Meat-free lasagna, crime against humanity. Wait a minute. Meat-free lasagna, I haven't seen it. So you want to say that generally lasagna comes with meat? Seriously? Maybe it's just I was unlucky enough. I don't know. But all the lasagna that I saw in my life personally, it was meatless. Oh, Andrew says, Starsky, you haven't tried beef lasagna? Beef lasagna? I never tried that, actually. But now, as you mentioned, I think I should. What's your opinion? Putin is dead. I think his brain is partially dead, which is confirmed by the fact that he even invaded Ukraine 2 years ago. How much do you think the Arsenal attacks will slow down Orc offensive? I think quite a bit because, for example, that big one, 300,000 kilograms of all kinds of munitions, they were estimated to be used over several months. So it's a big hit on the Russian offensive capabilities, but we will only see that, I believe, maybe in a couple of weeks. Again, because they have a lot of storages, smaller storages located closer to the front line, to be able to deliver their munitions faster. FSB is basically the new version of KGB. Yes, there's FSB and SVR. SVR is the external intelligence service, and FSB is their KGB. A bit evolved considering like modern technologies. So basically, there are several guys. There are a lot of agencies that create this information. It's not limited to social design agency that serves directly Russian dictator's office, that serves Kremlin. There is Internet Research Agency that was established by Prigozhin. There is a bunch of other civilian agencies also involved into creating disinformation, conducting monitoring. All the YouTube channels of your favorite YouTubers, they're all being monitored, and they're monitored very closely through different software, and actually a lot of people work to provide those strategists that work in those agencies with proper data, because you need to stay updated, and it's something extremely important if you work in a strategic communications company. So they have the same thing in FSB, they have the same thing in SVR, they have the same thing in General Staff of the Terrorist Federation. They all, as I already mentioned, very much dedicated to win this war and to achieve victory in the informational warfare as well. Did they pay some Canadians to submit the film? I really believe that they did, because they have enough money and a lot of funds were invested into their propaganda, so I have no doubt. There are people who enjoy having benefits from Russians, and there are people who consider like this failure of Tenet Media, they actually consider it a success story. To them, it's a best practice. It's like a legit way to earn money. So unfortunately, people are different, my friends. Has foreign agent Tucker Carlson registered as a foreign agent yet? It's a good question, because, for example, do you think that Tucker Carlson spent his own money to fly to Moscow? I really doubt that. I doubt that so much. Are you still building a a Lada from aircraft scrap, or is it going to be Messerschmitt now you're in Germany? Oh, let's see if it's even gonna fly, okay? If it flies, then probably it will be Messerschmitt. If not, then it will be Lada. There was this funny joke that I personally find funny, is when Russian agent runs away, like Russian agent of the West, right? Escapes from the USSR with the plans of MiG-29, and he brings those blueprints to the specialists in Langley, and he says, here are the blueprints. You can build MiG-29 in your hangar. And the guys in Langley are like, oh, cool, let's do this. And they build like this jet fighter for several months. And when it's finished, they go like, why the hell is this Lada? Like, where's MiG? Like, according to blueprints, everything's okay, but it's Lada. So they call that agent, and the agent is like, no, you did everything right. And they are like, but how to turn Lada into a MiG-29, into a jet fighter? He's like, you didn't read the small text. It says you gotta finish it with a file. You gotta file everything until it's MiG-29. So it's kind of my version of this joke, but anyways. Is it better to ignore comments spreading disinformation online, or is it better to comment against it? So it depends on where you see those comments. If this comment, like generally it's my rule, if it's a comment that is left under a publication that has like 1 like, don't bother. Also, if it's like nothing special, like it's an obvious fake, like don't bother. But if it's a commentary that received like 50,000 likes, bother. Then you can answer, and I think it's a proper thing. What happened to your helicopter kit? Is it on hold? Pete, I'm still waiting for the manual. Because the manual that Russians have sent me, it was in Russian language. I need something either in Ukrainian or English, or at least Deutsch. Then I will finish it. Did you see the new Lada model with the gear shift that hits the control panel? It was crazy. I didn't even know that is possible. Oh my god. Funny as hell, but crazy. Yeah. What can be done about apathy? I think this is how propaganda takes root 100%, my friend. Russians don't need motivated people. Russians don't need happy people. Again, according to their KPIs that you can read yourself in the recent FBI investigation on SDA, they don't need happy people, motivated people, initiative people. They don't need that. That is why we have to be motivated and positive and initiative and resilient. How to fight apathy? Oh, I will tell you after I consult with Olena, my teammate in the Propaganda Study Institute. Are you here all week? Apparently so. Apparently so. This week is very, very rich with all kinds of events and updates, extremely interesting and important ones. And also tomorrow we will have like 2 streams. We will have a stream with my good friend. I'm sure you know him. He was a pilot of Boeing 737. And we will have the stream apparently in the afternoon German time. And in the evening, we will also have a really interesting stream with my bro Andrew Mercado. Because Andrew Mercado, just like the guys yesterday, he also returned from Washington, D.C., where they did something really, really important, and he will share it tomorrow. How to fight apathy. Get mad about something, it will wake you up. Either get mad or get motivated. It's either or. And motivation and demotivation must be consumed in a balanced way, right? Because otherwise it will ruin you. Mr. Davidov, yes, this is what he calls him. The other day I watched our tour to Hostomel Airport. It was so cool, seriously. First of all, I got devirtualized with my idol, the dude that I was subscribed to years before the full-scale invasion. The reason I was subscribed to Denis Davidov is because you know that I'm a big fan of flying simulators. And because at some point I started learning more about things like Airbus, about Boeing 737, you know, how it works, how do you perform a walk around and things like that. Then eventually I found his channel on a YouTube. I'm like, he looks like a pilot of Ukraine International Airlines, seriously. And then I discovered that indeed he is. And I subscribed. He has and had back then extremely, extremely cool content. I would never, ever imagine that I would meet him personally, because what's the reason? And also, I would never imagine that we would be together in Hostomel that was liberated from Russians. It's insane. Oh, you know how to fight apathy? It's not that hard, actually. Because unless you have severe depression, which unfortunately you cannot cure by just watching music and hanging out with friends and stuff, it doesn't work like that unless you have it. There are things that make us happier. Everybody should have that, something like that. What makes you happier? If it's family, you gotta dedicate your time to your family. You gotta be happy for your children that bring good marks from the school. And if they bring bad marks, anyways, they're cool and they're best, for you, no matter what kind of students they are. Anyways, spend time with your family. Do something that makes you happy in terms of hobby, in terms of playing computer games, creating paper airplanes, I don't know, drawing, painting, riding a bicycle, driving a car, flying an airplane, traveling, listening to music, eating, my friends. There are so many things that we can utilize to make us happier and to remove apathy. Anyways, also apathy sometimes is not that bad if you literally don't want to do anything. You just want to relax. Today I have, my God, like 5 different calls in the morning. I had 5 different calls in the morning. I had a stream, another interview, and I'm streaming right now. Tomorrow I will probably be a bit apathetic, for at least for the first part of the day. and I think it's well deserved. Why people keep typing plus? Plus means Roger that. In Ukrainian military slang, when you say plus or plus plus, it means copy, affirmative. If you tell your friend Dmitro or Petro or Miroslav, see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. and he says plus plus, it means I got it. Some other people that I consider perverts, including people like me, we like to type plus instead of like sending you one symbol. We like to type plus, and we also say like we make this word even bigger, like plusiara or like plusiще, you know. And instead of utilizing this properly, we turn it into something absolutely different. Eating cats and dogs. I would eat cats because cats have softer meat, right? And I started watching Alf because apparently there's a bunch of good recipes of preparing cats that I can find. What is denied? Minus, minus? Yeah, absolutely. When you want to deny something, you can say minus, or you can just type one symbol. You will need a holiday after all that. What would be your dream destination? I think Australia, because I really, really miss my brother and my mother. I would really, really like to see them. But it's a long way. It's a long travel. That takes more than 24 hours. Did you talk about Dennis Davidov, who is a military blogger? He's also a civilian pilot. Yeah. He is a commercial pilot, pilot of Boeing 737, and extremely, extremely interesting dude that can tell you all kinds of interesting stuff about aviation. Tomorrow we will talk mostly about aviation because tomorrow we will have a Friday night stream. We will have a Friday night chill out, and we will just relax and talk because sometimes we all need that. And we will talk more with you guys. We will literally spend more time in the chat, okay? I can only assume, but I guess cat would taste similar to rabbit. They have a lot in common. Cats and rabbits, I believe so. I believe they have a lot in common. But I gotta try to make sure. Save a chicken. Save a chicken, eat a cat. Yeah, chicken are beautiful. Is cat very different from Russian baby? I will see. If it gives me the heartburn, then probably not really different. Because I ate so many Russian children drinking, you know, those tears of Russian widows that I cannot do it anymore. I had too much. But I gotta check if cats have the same effect on me. Beer o'clock tomorrow. Yes, my friend. That's what I'm talking about. So on Silicon Carton, the reason why Russia is so good at misinformation war is because the citizens go for computer science because of the little risk from government. I would partially agree on that. Do you hear Germans talking much of the Russian propaganda in your daily life? Not that much, actually. The reason they talk about Russian propaganda is because currently the informational space is overwhelmed with it. We have so much channels talking about Ukraine. Like we have approximately 1,500 influencers around the world, 1,500 people that are active on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, in Facebook, Instagram, those people I'm talking about. And we have approximately 3,000 alive pro-Russian influencers around the world, and we have hundreds and thousands of fake people, fake accounts created by Russians to spread misinformation. So you can see that informational space is overwhelmed. Generally, if we talk about YouTube channels, we have like 10, okay. Well, less than 20, right? That's normal. We don't need like 5,000, not like we don't need. It's not natural if Ukraine would have like 5,000 YouTube channels talking about Ukraine, because that would be really, really suspicious, right? It's not natural. Like why? At the same time, Russians have that. They have a lot of channels that have literally 0 subscribers, but they keep, producing content. And for example, remember that cringy Russian fake about Zelensky buying 2 yachts that I believe are still for sale? And it came from an unknown dude that only had like 3 subscribers. He, himself, and his mom, right? And then his page grew like hundreds of thousands of subs. And sometimes they use those because it's in Russian interest to have some kind of anonymous source of information that they can share through their media massively and make like hype out of it, make some kind of news, okay, make a story. While praying to your LGBT lord Satan while performing black magic and reading Mein Kampf at the same time, because we are all gay Nazi satanists. That's what we do when we're bored. Is Germany getting tougher on immigration? Well, from what I've heard, they wanted to introduce checkpoints on the border because in the European Union, basically you can go anywhere. And they only had a checkpoint, I believe, in the border with Austria. And now they want to establish a bunch of checkpoints to check documents on every major highway, so on every border. So I would say, in a way, they're getting a bit tougher on immigration. Is it such a big problem for Germany? I cannot say, because you can see a lot of people, different races, different nationalities, employed everywhere. So in my personal opinion, immigration is not that bad. You just have to have a proper policy, a proper agenda on how to adopt those people, how to give them a proper place in your society so they would be satisfied and you would be satisfied. Like it sounds easy, but politicians are working on that really, really hard. And of course, not only they work on that, they use that for their own political benefit, because they can say, immigrants on the southern border, we are doomed, we will all die. I believe in aliens. Does that fit the Kremlin narratives as well? It does, my friend. It does. I remember, not sure if I talked about it, but I remember when I was a kid in the Soviet Union, we had a magazine that I believe was called Unitechnik. Let me see if they have it. So Unitechnik. Unitechnik is translated as young technician. Unitechnik. It looked approximately like this. The hell is that? Here, Unitechnik. It was a Russian magazine that was designed for teenagers, for guys who like to build shit. Because here, for example, there is a patch, a label, Unitechnik, that they would give to their kids, right? And if you receive this stuff, it means that you are extremely good at building shit. Why did kids in the Soviet Union build shit? Here, you can, for example, see this on the left. It says benches and the hell is Starsky? I don't know how to translate it. This is a scheme, a blueprint of building like either ski or building like sled. Anyways, why did kids in the Soviet Union build that stuff? The answer will shock you. It's because you could not buy anything in the Soviet Union. If you wanted to buy an airplane in a toy store, you would have better chances of building it yourself. From paper, matches, piece of shit, and your own cock. And using all that, you could build, for example, airplane, and you could find a blueprint of building that in Unitechnik, in this magazine created specifically for the kids. So why did I start talking about this magazine? It's because even despite the fact that it was like scientifically based magazine for kids in the Soviet Union, sometimes you could find all kinds of dark shit in there. I remember I was like 5 years old. I could read when I was 5 already. And I would read stuff about encountering aliens and about like people who could use their magnetic powers to attach like magnetic objects to their skin. In one specific issue of this magazine, you could see like classification of aliens. Reptilian-looking aliens, human-looking aliens, Aryan-looking aliens, dwarfs, gray aliens, like all kinds of them. And they would also attach like classification of alien ships. Some of them look like spheres, some of them look like saucers, some of them look like a dumbbell. And imagine being a freaking 13-year-old kid, a teenager who bought this magazine because you want to build yourself a remotely controlled ship. that you can play with in like a lake, because you cannot obviously buy anything like that in the Soviet store. And you read all that, and then you find a whole article explaining how aliens look like. And it was in Soviet Union. How cool is that? So Russians were already trained to be freaking conspiracists, and like they were trained to be very, very much susceptible to all kinds of bullshit you can imagine already back then in like early 80s, late 80s. I remember even nowadays, I was reading this magazine about like Bigfoot. There was a professor, like Russian professor, who brought his students to like Siberia to examine the traces of Tunguska, of Tungush meteorite that hit the Earth. And they encountered some strange symbols, and they felt as if someone was like following them all the time. And then people started like disappear. You know, that is literally Russian. It's not science fiction. It was like quasi-documentary shit, quasi-docu-fiction, I would call it this way, back in the 90s. I love it. Any chance you will have Ushanka show as a guest? He's from Kiev, living in the US. If he's from Kiev, I would like to do that. And I think I saw some of his videos. Why is there only aliens and UFOs in the Northern Hemisphere? It's a good question, because generally in the Northern Hemisphere, there's like aliens and UFOs. In the Southern Hemisphere, there's like gods and ghosts. That is something that I noticed as well. But again, it's because this stuff is entertaining. Literally, it's not because people are crazy. It's because people want to entertain themselves. That's the reason why, for example, I play Phasmophobia, because I sometimes like to scare myself. You probably remember things like EVP. You probably watched the movie White Noise, which is based on this quasi-scientific belief that if people from the other side, you know, like ghosts, if they can create some kind of equipment that is light enough to be created there on the other side, then they will have chance to contact us. I was the biggest fan of this shit when I was like 19, okay? And I did all I could to find, you know, like ghosts. There were people going to like cemeteries. There were people going to some crazy places where like disasters would happen, and bring their like recorders and record stuff. And then they would bring it back home and try to find like messages, you know, from the other side. Literally, I tried really, really hard. I found nothing. So that is the, like, I want to believe. I just don't. So at the same time, this stuff is extremely entertaining. That's why I like all kinds of crazy dark movies. And I am, by the way, the one who would rather watch something creepy, I believe. Australia has no UFOs. Oh. Or has it? I gotta ask my brother. He knows for sure. Do you plan to speak to Kellen Robertson about the initial fiasco? David, we already did, like several days ago. Check out the videos on my channel. We already did. It was fun. And generally, Kellen is he's now in South Ukraine. Today he told me that he was hunted by a drone, and like he was chased by a FPV drone, which is kind of terrifying. We've had such experience last year in the area of Chasiv Yar. Wasn't good, wasn't pleasant, trust me. Would you invite Jonathan Pierce to a stream? He does so much work. I would like to. Maybe I would like to go to his platform myself. That would be absolutely amazing, I think. Speaking of disasters, have you ever visited Chernobyl as visitor? Not as visitor. Yeah, I did. Why? 2022. We were together with my guys. I did a video from Chernobyl. Check it out. It's about why Russians were based in Chernobyl, why they decided to make Chernobyl nuclear power plant their military base. And it was interesting. But I didn't visit Pripyat. I visited Poliske, and we talked about Poliske the other day. I know you're busy, but I miss your storytelling on your UA Vibes channel. I'm really, really sorry. Literally, I'm like trying to finish the next one, and I failed because I need to sleep at least a bit. But the next story will be extremely, extremely cool and inspiring and tragic, unfortunately, but it's a really famous story about one extremely brave and courageous Ukrainian journalist who literally wasn't afraid of corruptioners, who would do all he could to fight for freedom of speech, for independent media in Ukraine, and fight for truth. And he sacrificed his life. But because of this fact, Ukrainian society, whole Ukrainian society evolved. It's an extremely inspiring story, and actually Yulia from UATV gave me like a tip about it. That is the one that I will talk about in my next video on Ukraine vibes. So you gotta check it out. The Dyatlov thing. Yeah, the Dyatlov thing was really, really cool. I read several investigations on Dyatlov. I believe I saw that absolutely cringy movie about it, like horror movie. My God, Dyatlov. The story is interesting though. Like, what happened to them? Who the hell knows? Was it really the spy operation went wrong? We have no idea. There are evidence confirming this. Then there are many things that literally make me doubt that. But it's interesting. It's interesting to read. But by the way, were we talking about? About Chernobyl? Yeah, I think we were talking about Chernobyl. Why did I mention it? I don't know. I sleepy, I don't remember. And my dear channel members, thank you so much for supporting my channel and keeping it running. I appreciate it big time. Thank you very much. I see that you guys are gifting memberships. Thank you big time. Wolf dogs. Yeah, wolf dogs. We talked about that story. It was interesting. I heard about this story from several people, and like, of course, in the beginning, I was terrified because I was young. I was a teenager. I was terrified. Oh my god, how come it's true? And then I started digging more on it. There are a lot of zoologists and biologists working in the exclusion zone. They said that, man, just relax. Gardener, I'm late again. Ay, ay, ay. But don't worry, anyways, this video is recorded so you can watch it anytime. You are great fun. I love this chat. Same here. Absolutely. Again, after the survey that I made with your help, guys, you keep impressing me, seriously. You really do. And again, it's one of the ways to understand why people who choose to support Ukraine, why people who choose to subscribe to Ukrainian sources of information or who don't consider Russian sources of information trustworthy, why they have this magic, why they have this set of features or like qualities, why they make them so good. And I had a lot of insights, seriously. And it's a really good thing. How can I feel less helpless with little help I can give? This makes me depressive. So first of all, don't be depressed, please, because it doesn't matter if you cannot bring HIMARS to Ukraine. If you can write a supportive commentary under a publication of some Ukrainian person, if you can say, please accept my condolences, or you can say, please don't be sad, we stand with you, we pray for you, and if you can do whatever you can to literally support somebody with your words, that is already big motivation for us, for Ukrainians. Guys, the day I had my first live Q&A with you 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, I never expected to see so many supportive commentaries. And that was the moment when I realized that first of all, we were so wrong about people from Europe. We were so wrong about people from the United States when we thought that they will just abandon us. We thought bad about you, seriously, because of this. And when I received all those hundreds and thousands of supportive commentaries, that changed me big time. That was the first thing that changed me when I realized that people are, interested in what happens in Ukraine, that people want to know more information, that they have empathy to Ukrainians, that they understand that the crime is being committed, that Russia invades Ukraine, violating international recognized borders, and attacks an independent country for no reason. And when I realized that there are so many people who care, that changed me big time. So this is something that you can do. Guys, we have to motivate. We have to motivate others. That is the most important thing you can imagine. Because Russians hate when you are motivated. They want you to be frightened, and they want you to hate. And this is something that we can do to fight this, to fight Russian informational warfare. You don't need a weapon to fight. Your voice is sufficient. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, of course, you need to fight. But if you can use your voice and help motivate other people, that is 100% you can do it. So it's very, very important. Sorry, guys, so many commentaries. Let me use my magical filtering because I can. Was there someone from a country that surprised you in your poll? Where were the most responses from? The most responses came from the countries that usually watch my channel, and there's 6. It's United States, Canada, UK, Australia, and then there's Germany and Sweden. They compete. Sometimes it's Germany, sometimes it's Sweden in top 5, but generally those countries. The majority, like the main geography of respondents looked like this. It's English-speaking countries except South Africa, and it's North Europe. So it's Canada, United States, United Kingdom, it's Australia, it's New Zealand, and then it's like Finland, it's like Denmark, Netherlands, Germany, those countries. That is the primary geography that I noticed. But besides that, there were answers from all around the world, even from countries like Iran. I shit you not. So there were many response from all around the world. Did you do the statistics from your poll yourself? Yes, I did those statistics myself because that's what we learned back in the university. But because I am not 100% sure if my conclusions are correct, I will also address this to some academics, because I will involve people that are much smarter than me and know much more than me. We should not only educate, we should also learn ourselves every single day. But returning to your question, was there someone who surprised me? Oh, I believe it was Iran, actually. But again, majority of viewers who don't support Ukraine, but they still watch my video for different purpose. For example, like to monitor our activities or to understand what like pro-Ukrainian society is talking about. I don't think that they would even bother answering those questions, because otherwise I would receive data that would be completely ridiculous. But as soon as I started receiving response, the picture looked pretty much the same. Like first 100 replies, first 100 responses looked pretty much the same as the results of first 1,000 replies. So the data, like, I trust it. Do you know how old your average viewers are? It's from 40 to like 70. And majority viewers are in this category. It's like 40 to 70, you know? Well, of course, not a lot of young people watch my channel. They do, actually. And when I was in Sweden, when I was in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, I met a lot of people that are in their 30s, 20s. But generally, it's because of the type of content. People that are younger, they prefer watching something like gaming channels, you know. We have a different type of content here and different audience. And it's not, you know, I specifically make this content to attract some specific type of audience. No, it's done absolutely naturally. I literally didn't know much about the viewers who support Ukraine until I made this survey, because this let me understand like what kind of people are they, and what makes them less susceptible to the Russian propaganda. And again, this survey gave me a lot of really interesting insights, but it's not enough. It's not enough, because we need several more. Are you planning to watch the US Vice President debate next week? David, I will have to watch it. I will really have to watch it. On the other hand, I will probably have to buy some kind of either sedatives or like a bottle of vodka, because after I saw Trump speaking about Ukraine that is gone, that made me like so mad. Like literally, usually I don't react like that to Russian disinformation. It's not professional to react like that, you know. But this dude, he made it, you know. He has a talent. So apparently next time I will be listening to those debates, I will arm myself with something stronger than alcohol-free beer, apparently. I don't know. What did you do in Sweden? Oh, it's a really cool story. So the other day, me and Angelica, we decided to visit Brandon. Because we love him, because he's our bro, and we wanted to make like a surprise. That's why, of course, we didn't tell him that we were going to Sweden. And of course, when we arrived to Sweden and said, "Papa, here we are," he told us that he's not there. Of course. So we had to wait like a day or two until he returns. And we had a good time, and we also celebrated a birthday of Anna, and it's one of our viewers, and met people. And it was really, really cool because I usually don't do much offline meetings, but it's a great opportunity to see friends. Okay, I really feel ashamed when I call you viewers because to me you are friends. We're basically family already for more than 2 years. You are 24, right? Almost there. Do you have a TikTok account? I really do, but I don't use it. And the reason I have it is because back in the days when I served, it was a good idea for press officers to create stuff like that, create TikTok accounts and post all kinds of cringy content. One specific military organization in Ukraine, it was known for posting TikToks. It was like that. My brigade, okay? It's a combat brigade. We trained utilizing NATO standards and NATO staff system and shit. And we're like combat brigade. And all of our videos that we would produce were either like training, shooting, or like war, you know? And it was cool. Basically, our press service in my brigade was one of the strongest, even though our team was just 2 guys, me and Max. But Max is young genius, okay, and currently he's in charge of press service of the brigade, and he's the best manager the brigade could ever imagine. Seriously, he's the best communication manager I could imagine. So I'm extremely happy for that. But there were just 2 of us. And there was even a moment when there was just me alone before Max. And we were considered the best because we created some really, really cool viral content, making blogs. I was the first military, like, officially military blogger in the National Guard of Ukraine. People liked that content. It was cool. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it, right? There were challenges. I enjoyed, addressing those challenges and solving like the problems and stuff. It was really cool. Then there were like other military units, military academies, military companies, organizations, okay? And some shit that they did was crazy because like there's like brigade that creates like war-related content. There is a training center for the National Guard that, show videos of cooperating with like guys from Canada, Unifier. We were there together, it was really cool. Then those guys like make a video of girls dancing, and we're watching that and we're like, what the fuck is this? And they're just like girls dancing, I predicted that eventually they would probably start making like, different type of content, like on OnlyFans, for example, with the girls and shit, because that was cringy as fuck. That was like the worst communication you could imagine. I can talk about it because I have a right to do so. So different units had different approach, but every single time I would just scroll through like Facebook, through different pages, and like, oh, they're dancing again. Oh my fucking dog, so it was funny. Sometimes, I tell you this, sometimes we would sit with Max with a bottle of beer. or like Martini, and just scroll through those pages and laugh from all the cringe we saw. It was just so good. Would you like to meet JD Vance? Like, would I like to meet him personally? I don't think, like, what's the point? Literally, what would I ask him? Like, how much do Russians pay for a cringy publication or like cringy statement? I don't think that he would answer that. When did you retire? I didn't really retire. I'm a reservist, and I became a reservist in February this year. Can I still answer the poll? You cannot, because I closed it, and generally I have like almost 3,900 answers. So thank you so much, but maybe the other time. What did you think of NAFO when it first started in May 2022? I thought that this was genius, because like Russian strategy has a big flaw. They don't produce positive content, positive narratives, because they don't need it. Same with Russian bots. Russian bots don't have personalities, while NAFO, they're living human beings, and they're basically an army that can be deployed fast and in any corner of the internet. That is extremely valuable. In Russia, for example, there is one dude operating a bot farm of 1,000 fake people, right? And we have like several thousand living human beings that can destroy like any Fucker Carlson or Scott Ritter or whatever. And this was fantastic. This was genius, in my opinion. And I still think that this is genius. Do you ever go back and rewatch old streams? Oh, rarely. Seriously, I don't really do that. Maybe after the war is finished, but it's... You know, the reason I would rewatch them is because I would like to see, for example, your comments made back then, because it's something dear to me, you know? But my channel generally is not something that I'm proud of, because my channel is something that became known due to the tragedy. And that's why I don't consider my channel as a successful platform and stuff. It's a platform, but I don't consider it my personal success. It became known due to the tragedy. This is something that will follow me my whole life, and that is why I would only watch my old streams and old videos when I would need to find some specific information, some event that happened back then, if I need this information. Otherwise, I would probably only watch it just to read good old commentaries. That would be fun. What would you say to Vance if you could talk to him face to face? What would I say to Vance? We have a lot in common with Vance. He was a combat correspondent. I was a press officer. Basically, we did a lot of similar stuff in terms of our job, in terms of our profession. But there's not much I would like to ask him, because I don't think that I would learn anything new, you know? And I don't think that I would change something in his mind, even though it's possible. Because remember, Vance was the one who called Trump like future American Hitler, and he's the same dude who is now his vice president. So it's a hard question. Guys, there's a lot of people I would debate, for example. But if you want to ask me whom would I talk to, I would prefer to talk to you in offline, seriously. I like this audience. I like you guys. You are my family, and I'm dedicated to you. So I would prefer to have a beer or two with you than freaking spend my time with JD Vance talking about something that would never change his opinion. That's just my personal position. Does Vance recognize himself when he looks in the mirror? Why does he use like eyeliner? That is something I don't understand. He's not the first case though, because we had several politicians that would use an eyeliner to kind of make their eyes look more, you know, like sharper. But it's something that I still cannot understand. It's it's like Putin wearing high heels. Seriously, it's when he wears high heels and when he walks, he waves his hand like this to show everybody that he has a handgun, even though you can walk normally when you have a handgun. I tried. I checked this information, and yeah. So probably it's because of complexes. Everybody has complexes, but when it's something so apparent, then you gotta do something with it. Maybe gay. I don't think he's gay. I think that he's just really, really inconfident because of that. He was inconfident before he had like this stuff. But now I think that he's even more inconfident because he understands that everybody can see that. So he basically exposed himself, especially if it's an eyeliner tattoo, because then it's just so crazy. I don't know. Like I don't really care if people have their faces completely tattooed. I don't really care like about haircuts. I don't really care about body shape, like seriously. But when this is based on like complexes, which again you're not supposed to have them, since you served in the Marines. In the Marines you have like your personality is built from scratch. You're not supposed to have that. Who knows? I have no idea. Does Medvedev wear lifts now too? Medvedev, by the way, I think he's even shorter than Putin, which apparently, again, was the reason why Putin selected him as his puppet president back in the days, back in like 2008. He's shorter than Putin. You cannot go smaller than Putin, literally. But he found it. What about drawing a six-pack on? Exactly, that would change a lot. especially on the face, As a reservist, what would you have to do if you're called back? Similar to your previous position or also frontline? I have no idea. According to my VOS, my military specialty, I am a combat journalist. So probably I would be snatched into some kind of press service. I have no idea. We will see. Putin is currently shitting his pants. You heard about his statement about changing the nuclear doctrine. Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. So first of all, he uses nuclear weapons properly, which is talking about them, scaring people with them on words, like verbally. And another thing is that he generally does that. Like if he wanted to use them, he would probably never talk about them. But Putin is not going to use them. He wants people to be scared with the fact that he has them. That's the difference. Medvedev, as in the drunk Russian Twitter. One thing I don't understand even today. Elon Musk is fighting and presenting Twitter as the only platform where you can have freedom of speech. So first, there's no freedom of speech in Russia. Twitter in Russia is blocked. And third, Twitter is also blocked in places like Iran. How the hell Khamenei has Twitter? Medvedev has Twitter. I believe a bunch of like Talibs also use Twitter, even though they blocked, all the goods of civilization in Afghanistan. How exactly does it work? I have no idea. And at the same time, Elon Musk supports Russia so much, and Twitter in Russia is freaking blocked by Russians. I have no idea how it works. On the other hand, of course, if Russians helped him to acquire Twitter, then why not? Of course, he won't say bad things about Russians because he doesn't want to piss off his boss. Oh, guys, we passed the 2-hour mark long ago. My dear friends, I will be ending the stream because I'm sure that you're already tired of seeing my ugly face for 2 hours straight. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for all the beautiful questions. I do as much as possible, just chatting with you and trying to answer all of them. That is the reason why I don't have super chat, because it's cheating. I believe so. It's when like some people have priority in answering questions. I'm trying to answer all of the questions. That's my tradition. That's my policy, okay? And I will keep it. My dear friends, thank you so much. And as always, thanks to all the moderators, to our courageous bot slayers there in the chat. Big thanks to all of my old friends and all of my new friends. Big thanks to all the members who support my channel, and also big thanks to all the people who support Ukraine. You are amazing and you are fantastic people. Thank you so much. I love you. We'll see you next time. And what do I usually say? Be safe. Goodbye, people.